That was my exact conversation with my coach. I was like, I can't really pitch anymore, but you put me wherever you think. I don't care. I'll do anything. I just want to be on this field. So I moved to the outfield role, just trying anywhere. Middle of junior year, I broke my fingers. So then I just had to run for the rest of the year, but I was okay with that. Any way that I could just help out.
Just be a part of the team.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. John Henry, the Good Hustle Podcast. Today's actually a really, really important episode. So back in 2013, I was going to this restaurant, Sophia's on Market, which is now Sophia's in Walden. I was working for Joy Daniels, and this lady said to me, she's like, hey, would you like to run for the Harrisburg Leukemia Lymphoma Society Man and Woman of the Year, Man of the Year? And basically, you get nominated. It has nothing to do with who you are. It just has to do with raising money. And I said, no, I was not doing it. And then I don't remember how they talked me into doing it, but they ended up talking me into doing it. And that's a cool car. You hear that? You won't hear that on the microphone, Al.
Darn.
There's cars out there. Trust me. But I ended up doing it, and I started doing some fundraising. I'm 33 years old, and I'm starting to get to meet people that are actually suffering from leukemia and learning about how the LLS is actually raising money to actually cure this, especially childhood cancer that is, ridden our country for many years. And I'm getting to this. So I'm speaking for our guest, but I held a fundraiser, Sophia's. It was, let's say, pretend it was a Wednesday night, hypothetically, Tuesday, Thursday, something. It was a weeknight. And the guest of honor was Nick Fulton. Nick was 11 years old. Nick was diagnosed with, tell me exactly which one it was.
Acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
Yep, at 11,
Yes.
age 11.
Yep.
This kid, who's sitting across from me now as a young man, comes to this event with his parents, sits next to me after going through, what were you had, what you called that day?
I think I had a spinal tap that day and some kind of other high dose chemotherapy.
Yeah, and chemotherapy that day.
Yeah.
Literally came there at 8:30 at night. You're still almost an hour from home at that point.
Yep.
So you go from Hershey to the location we were, which is probably 40 minutes. Then you have an hour drive, and you came to this event. I think I remember you having a cupcake or a cookie. That's all you could handle.
Probably.
You weren't hungry. You were, visibly not feeling well. I mean, obviously from chemo and I've had spinal taps. It's awful.
Yeah.
They feel terrible. But today we have Nick Fulton, who is a survivor, who is an inspiration, an athlete, but also someone who I can admit who, like myself, suffers from mental illness. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So Nick Fulton, hey everybody. So can you take us back from when you were first diagnosed with leukemia at 11? And I know it's a blur, but I remember some of the stories, they started seeing bruises.
Yeah.
So is that kind of how that started?
Yeah. So I'll dive into that. So, I was an active kid, always playing sports, always roughhousing with whoever. So it wasn't abnormal to see a few bruises here and there. But what really took my parents by surprise is one night I had gotten a four-wheeler for my 11th birthday, and I was riding it around the yard, and I came in with these huge bruises all over the insides of my legs.
And you hadn't wrecked or anything?
No, just riding around, putt-putting around the yard. And they were like, oh, that's a little odd. So, they started making some phone calls, seeing what we should do. And in the meantime, it was maybe a day later, I had just started getting these random bruises. I mean, all over my arms. They were, the size.
Softball size.
Yep. Dark as could be. So then they called the pediatric place, JDC Pediatrics. And they said, bring me in right away.
And this is and when I ran for LLS, the thing that I learned was literally you'll go to Hershey and they'll run tests and they'll find out that night.
Yep.
And that's how it went.
Yep.
Yeah. It was literally pack your stuff.
Yep.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So we went to that appointment. Obviously they pulled me into a separate room asking, if I was getting abused or, if my parents were neglecting me. And I said, no, I don't even know what this is. So they said, we'll call you in a few days. We made it home. My mom made dinner. I was practicing my trumpet. Um, and probably the worst night of my life happened. So they called us. I want to say, I don't. It was dark out, so it was probably like 8 o'clock. And they said you need to get to the hospital, the Holy Spirit, right away. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. Obviously they said more things to my parents on the phone, but obviously being a kid at that time, I didn't know much more than, we were taking a trip to the hospital. And one of the most vivid memories I have of that night is my dad absolutely, and I grew up, my dad never showed emotion. He never cried in front of me. He was, that's how we were raised,
Yeah.
being from the countryside. So, he completely broke down. He broke our front porch. He was, his little boy was going through something that he couldn't help.
He had no control over it.
Yeah. So, my mom was calmly, she was like, let's pack a bag, sweetie. Let's, put some stuff together.
Being a mom.
Yeah. Yep. And I I can remember as a kid going to church all the time. I believed. But if something that night, I was like, can we just have a family prayer? And
You said this?
yeah.
As an 11-year-old?
Yeah. So we prayed in my mom's room for a good bit. And then um, uh, our dear friend, Kurt Robinson, he was like a second dad to me. He was my dad's assistant coach growing the whole way up through.
For baseball.
Yep, for
Yeah.
baseball. And he thankfully came over and picked us up and said, I'm taking you guys so you guys don't have to worry about this. So he took us, the Holy Spirit, they took my blood. And not even an hour later, we were at Hershey.
Yeah.
So,
And I saw that story a lot when we did this, where it was like, I got the phone call and they said, pack your bags, you're coming to Hershey because you got to start treatment right away.
yeah,
And ultimately, what the LLS has done over the years, and you can agree with this. I mean, the amount of money and they've raised for research for leukemia and lymphoma, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And the steps we've taken as a world with the ability to heal it, without the LLS, you probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
correct. Yeah. Yeah.
The LLS, yeah, like, which is mind-boggling because there's so many people that are affected by cancer. And it's not, whether it's yourself, like I had cancer last year in my neck, first time. So, and then I had some spots too, but this was a little lump inside my neck. A word you never want to hear.
Absolutely. No.
And I can't even, and I know your parents, Trace and John, and the funny thing is you say your dad was never emotional. I've never known him to not be emotional.
Yeah.
Like, cause that's the man I know. So that actually changed your dad on how he actually expressed his feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and going through my treatment and stuff, both my parents did not take care of themselves very well. I felt horrible about that. They were focused solely on, everything was on me.
Yeah.
So they really took a lot out of themselves to put into me. And now you can see my dad. My dad is absolutely, he's lighter weight than I am. So
he was a big boy when I met him, and he is a skinny man now.
Yeah, yeah. People often ask me, "Oh, is he healthy? Is he sick?" And we're like, "No, he's." And I'm so proud of him for doing that because it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to take care of yourself.
Well, because I mean, this treatment that you had to go through. So let's talk about treatment. I mean, because to impact your daily life, school, friendships, like first off, how long did you go through treatment, and can you tell me, like, how did that impact all of that? Like school, you missed a lot of school.
Yeah.
So run me through a little bit of that.
So I then finished fourth grade. Pretty much just it was before online school was a real thing.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of doing assignments here and there, and I think they kind of just
Let you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I moved up to fifth grade. Then I really started my heavy dose treatments where I could not be out. So I was going to the hospital, or I was locked in the house. I wasn't going out to school. I wasn't going out to movie theaters. I wasn't going out and hanging out with anybody.
You couldn't be around germs. It was almost like, did you have masks then too? Like,
yes. Yeah. So for a while there, we would wear masks everywhere we went.
And this is pre-COVID.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, this is like a foreign thing. We're like, what the heck is this? So thankfully, Mr. France, he was my fifth grade teacher at the Bloomfield Elementary. He volunteered to come out to the house and give me, some instruction on stuff. And he would come out, I think 2 or 3 times a week, to kind of make me feel like a normal kid. I wasn't having friendships. I wasn't seeing anybody. So it was like,
and that is such a, like, to have that social stranglehold. And we saw what that did for people mentally through COVID, like being stuck in the house, not being able to get out. We saw mental illness rise all across the country. So do you think that that affected you at that time a lot? Like not seeing your friends, not playing sports? Like how did that, as an 11-year-old, I don't even know how you can think about that as an emotional feeling.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously at the time I had no idea, but now looking back, I definitely think it has a, part to what I am, where I'm at now. Thankfully, we went by a couple months, maybe 6 months or so of that. And, I started going back to church. So I started hanging out and seeing people there, or, I would go to baseball games. I went to every baseball game growing up, even if I had chemo or not that day. So
On your team, you mean, like
yeah,
playing? Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I went to one.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, I went to a couple, but
So that was like my only, and my parents weren't going to rip me away from that because that was like my only, way to see people and kind of get out. So that definitely played a huge part in my mental health.
and how long did you go through chemo and radiation and everything for?
So I went through chemo. I think I was 15, so like 2.5, 3 years, something like that.
Long time.
Yeah, yeah.
And did you do radiation after?
No, I thankfully I didn't have to do any kind of
Okay.
radiation. So
Yeah, and like and what people don't understand is like you go through chemo and then you're sick.
mhm.
Like, can you tell me about that at all?
Yeah, so I mean, a normal day, my treatment days were on Thursdays. So we would go down early in the morning. I'm talking 6, 7 in the morning. Um, I get treatment or a spinal tap. I'm not able to eat up till that point, so I'm hungry by the time treatment comes. And then I get treatment, and obviously the opposite happens. I'm not hungry at
Are
all.
you sick to your stomach?
Sick to my stomach.
Throwing up?
Yeah, yeah. They thankfully we found a cure really quick for that. It's an anti-nausea medicine.
That little teeny pill, do you remember?
Yeah,
That's a good pill. I know that
yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So they prescribed me that pretty quick.
Yeah.
So that really helped. But even with the high dose chemotherapy, I would come home and I wouldn't move an inch from the couch.
For how many days were typical? Like, if you had it on a Thursday, when did you feel almost normal? Monday?
Monday, Tuesday of the last week, and then we got Thursday again coming back up.
Yeah.
So
And how was that on your parents? Like, even your relationship with them? Like, did you notice a difference? I mean, obviously, did that change their relationship with each other too?
yeah, yeah, definitely. They obviously didn't focus on each other as much. My dad, I really don't remember seeing much of my dad because he was working all the time.
Yeah.
He was busting his butt, trying to make a dollar to keep the house alive. And my mom was trying to do the same thing. Thankfully she had a great boss at the time who said, take as much time as you need, whenever you need. So her focus was more on me, and taking care of things around the house.
And I can tell you, when you say they lost focus on themselves, my wife Taylor, her mom is super onset dementia. And the one thing that worries me about Taylor is like, how much does she actually, and she does take care of herself, but she's with her mom. She's working a lot, babysitting me. We all know that's true. And then she's with her mom 5 nights a week. And I'm just like, the one thing that always scares me about her is like, are you taking care of yourself? Because if you can't take care of yourself, how can you take care of another? But as a parent, like as your mom, who I've known you guys for 12 years, but the day I met your mom, like I knew, and your dad's like, man, that's all they care about is getting this kid better. And they're going to sacrifice anything and everything. But also, you guys had a lot of community help too.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had almost everybody in the community reach out, which was a wonderful thing. People dropping meals off at the door, just going to the grocery store for us so we didn't have to, and just donating a lot of things and a lot of time, to make sure my parents were, doing okay as well.
Yeah. And everybody, and not like you were famous, but everybody knew who you were in Perry County.
Yeah.
Everybody knew who Nick Fulton was, the 11, 12-year-old kid that was going through leukemia.
Yeah. And that's definitely something I think I want to touch back on later, with you, because like you go
talk about it now. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, you go from this of everybody knowing you, like this celebrity status almost, to,
Oh, this is what,
yeah.
maybe we want to hit on it later.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Because one of the things I can tell you is that when you see people on social media, you see them through a lens of happiness. It's not always true.
Right.
Like, I struggle inside. I struggle up here. And I'm never afraid to admit it, because I know if I can help one person, or if I share my story and somebody reaches out to me, I know I'm doing my part. And when we get further into this, there's a lot of mental health that comes into play for you, and this is within the last couple months.
Yeah.
Um, and some serious things that have happened in your life. And I text you, I'm like, are you ready to tell this story? And you literally text me back. You're like, listen, if I can help one single person, and you're like, this is how I'm going to heal. Like, you're 23. I'm 45. I'm just learning that. So just to tell you, you're so much further ahead than most people when it comes to that. Even though you may have had some setbacks recently, to learn from them and move forward is the most beautiful thing you can give, because you're being a vessel to show others like, hey, listen, you're not alone. And let me explain my story, and hopefully it can help you with yours. And one of the things I will tell you that was really one of the coolest things to watch for you during your recovery was your sports journey. So to see you on the bench, and then within 2 years you're playing, I'm like, okay, I don't know how good this kid really is, because I'm watching from the outside.
Right, right.
And then all of a sudden, and I'm following you all through high school and just watching your sports journey. So can you tell me, how do you think your love for sports and baseball benefited you through your healing process?
I'd say it was probably like a saving grace. It was an outlet where I could go to the baseball field and kind of not think about everything else in life. Obviously my dad coached me the whole way up through, and then when I got to high school, I didn't get that love. So, I would say that weighed on my mental health there as well. I went from playing all the time to sitting on the bench and kind of watching everybody. But what I tried to do was just soak in everything. Soak in all the mental stuff, which is kind of why I am the way I am today. I embrace the suck. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable.
Which is, these are huge quotes that I love. So keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So then, junior year comes around, I start getting a little bit more playing time.
Now at this time, you've rang the bell.
Right. Yep.
So you rang the bell your freshman year.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So, obviously ringing the bell freshman year, I'm way behind.
Yeah.
Size wise, I think I don't even know, 5'2".
You were little. Like,
Yeah.
looking at you today, it's like when I saw you, let's say a year ago, I was like, Jim, look at the size of this kid now.
Yeah. College does wonders. But yeah, so I'm very undersized, which didn't help my case at all. I'm very physically not developed as everybody else. So junior year, I get a little bit more love from the coach. And then senior year comes rolling around. I'm supposed to be this top guy on the mound. COVID hits. Season gets canceled. I was devastated. Obviously, I think everybody that graduated, and even everybody that didn't graduate that year, it was a horrible thing. So I was like, well, that's it. I just did all of this
For nothing.
For nothing. So I'm like, I'm lost. I'm lost in everything. I have no idea what I want to do.
Were you asking for help at this time, or talking to anybody about this, or were you holding this stuff in?
No, holding it all in. Yeah, I was just trying to figure it out on my own, and I've quickly realized that I couldn't do it on my own. So I originally started talking with my mom. I was like, I don't really know. She's like, well, what's some things you like to do? So I listed I like having my own business. I like working on computers. I like all that type of stuff. So we sat down with some options, and she's like, well, maybe college should be the route. So I decided, you know what, let's do it. So I signed up for Central Penn College in Somerdale, Pennsylvania.
Which is a great school.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I took a shot in the dark. I got the coach's number, Coach Bobby Stern.
So listen, just ask. Keep going.
Absolutely.
I love this.
Yeah.
I love
I mean,
this.
the worst thing that anybody can say is no.
Yeah.
So,
you hear that, Trevor? This is a sidebar. You hear that, Trevor? Go ahead.
So I took that shot in the dark, and I texted the coach, and he responded the same day.
Really?
Yeah, he said, obviously I didn't have any tape or anything from senior year, which he was asking for, and I was like, well, I can't. I can go out on the field.
No season. Yeah.
Right. I'll go out on a field and prove it any day. So he invited me to his summer travel team, which that's really where I got my spark there. So my first year there, I struggled a little bit, obviously playing a little bit older kids, and then my second year playing with him, which would have been my freshman year of college.
Yeah.
I really started to, really develop and become the athlete that I wanted to
Oh,
be.
so you would have started before you were even a freshman in
Yes.
college, because
Yeah.
this is the summer right after you graduated.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So you get, and isn't it amazing how one door opening up can change the path of your life?
Absolutely.
Because ultimately, when we get to the real heart of the story, which is going to be later on, I'm going to say the reason you got through that is because of opportunities that you had like this. Hey, everybody. I wanted to talk to you about A Plus Mortgage Solutions. They're one of our sponsors, Jeremy and Angie McMichael, not a couple, but they're phenomenal. They are great lenders. They have worked with hundreds of buyers on my team over the last couple of years. If you need help with a mortgage, whether it's a HELOC, a mortgage, anything, any questions you have, refinancing, check the link below. Their information is there. Now back to the episode. So can we go back a little bit, though?
Yeah.
I want to talk about when you rang the bell. If people know what that means, when you're cured from cancer, you get to ring the bell. So I'm sure most people understand that. But can you tell me a little bit about that day, that journey throughout there? Like, do you remember that?
Honestly,
It was a blur.
Yeah, it's a blur at this point. I do remember, standing up there ringing the bell. I often see the picture on Facebook.
I see it too. Yep.
But what a day. It felt like an accomplishment. It just felt good. Something finally kind of went my way.
Yeah. And it takes a village.
Yeah.
It really does. It's not something you got to do on your own.
Yeah, I would not be here today without everybody around me.
Yeah.
My community that's supported me to this point.
Yeah, I think whenever, especially kids, because you were 13 or 14 when you
now you're testing me. I think 13
when you were done or cured.
Cured, technically.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
By the way, I have his name tattooed on my arm.
Yeah.
I got this done in 2013, so it's right here.
Yeah.
So if anybody, I'll show pictures then.
You gotta pop them up.
But that, like, so you're able to go through, and then you start this journey. Now, what were you studying at Central Penn?
Information technology.
Okay.
Just a general degree. I didn't really
Listen, we don't say just anything. Say a general degree.
Yeah, general degree.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I really didn't know. I'm still kind of at that stage where I don't know specifically what I want to get into. So I'm hoping, thankfully I got the opportunity to work at the Navy base here in Mechanicsburg. So I'm hoping that kind of opens my eyes to.
You're there now, right?
Correct.
You're no longer with the poop people.
Nope. Shout out to Advanced Septic.
Advanced Septics in Perry County, right? Yeah, they
get all your, your septic needs. Greatest company. So
and now you're working at the Navy base. Well, let's continue through the college thing, because ultimately you play 1 year on this travel team. You do it for the second year, and you're starting to catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So I started, lifting weights. Obviously, I started physically developing, which was great. I was my fastball was starting to come on. And then that summer, right, getting ready to go into the fall, I blew my shoulder out. What a setback, what a punch to the gut. I finally got there, and it's like, another setback. So my dad asked me what I wanted to do, going into the sophomore year of college. He's like, I don't blame you if you quit at this point. I said, no, I'm not quitting. So, I go through the whole sophomore year, didn't play very much. Junior year, I finally see a doctor. I don't know the exact timeline, but something like that. And I see a doctor, and they recommend I have surgery. I'm not gonna be able to throw a ball. I said, no, I'm not having surgery. So I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm still to this day without surgery on my shoulder. Probably should have got it done, but that's another story. But yeah, so just, I look at things like that. Just it makes me try and strive more and be better and continue to go.
Yeah.
Embracing that suck.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, when you say embracing the suck, it's like you're a pitcher, now your shoulder hurts. So you're basically saying, coach, put me anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be of help to the team. And I can tell you that I bet you when you were sitting on the bench as an 11, 12, 13-year-old watching the game, helped prepare you for those moments.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, that was my exact conversation with my coach. I was like, I can't really pitch anymore, but you put me wherever you think. I don't care. I'll do anything. I just want to be on this field. So that's what we did. I mean, junior year, I've always played second base. I was always kind of in my backup position, so I really started playing there more. And we developed the outfield skill too, because we had a great. He was a freshman when I was a junior. Owen Zell. He's still there. Shout out to him.
Nice.
So he really, he took that spot, and he deserved it very much. So I moved to the outfield role. just trying anywhere,
Yeah, of course.
anywhere to try and get on the field. Middle of junior year, I broke my fingers. So then I just had to run for the rest of the year, but I was okay with that. Any way that I could just help out.
Just be a part of the team.
Absolutely.
It's we, not I, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's really cool because, and I don't live with regrets, but I wish I would have seen you play more. I do. But you graduated last year.
Correct. Yep.
With your degree.
Yep.
For your bachelor's degree, correct?
Yep.
Played on so we're talking leukemia at age 11, ringing the bell at 13-ish, missing out on baseball for years, okay, barely playing, underdeveloped size, not mentally though,
right?
Not with your brain power of the game, getting into college, still tiny, undeveloped size. So freshman, you're undeveloped.
Yes.
But you're undeveloped because of the stint that this put on your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, chemo's no joke. It's no joke. Yet you still rise to the occasion and play college baseball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I always told my mom, being little, I was like, I'm going to play on the Senators field. She's like, okay. Yeah, sure.
This is the story I want us to.
Yeah, so she was like, sure, buddy, whatever you say. And we got the opportunity my junior year to play on Senators field. And
the first time?
Yeah.
Because you played there more than once.
Yeah, we played there all of our home games our junior year and all our home games our senior year.
Yeah.
We got to play at FMB, and I've never seen my mom smile so much. I know she never thought it was going to happen, but.
And she actually told me that story. She's like, I never thought I'd see him on the Senators field.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, so Swen, dear friend of mine, he's the #1 fan of the Senators. Goes to every single game. He lives there. He knows every single player, every detail about that place. So I find out, hey, you're playing in the championship. This is literally your senior year. Mm-hmm. This is your last organized baseball. No, you're still playing some organized ball.
Yeah.
But this is your last real college baseball game. I hadn't seen one, which shame on me. I'm sorry. But I go there with Swen. We sit right on the first base side, right above your dugout. And it's an incredible game. And this game goes to the bottom of, whether you guys play full 9 or 7.
We played full, well, we were supposed to play 7, but we went into extras.
Went into extra. Bottom of the 9th inning, which you actually got into this game. Was it just as a runner, or you batted too?
No, so I ended up getting pinch bunted.
Yes, that's right. You did. You pinch bunted. You got a guy to second.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, and you get on the field. It's senior. There's 2 outs. It's the bottom of the 9th inning, and you guys literally have a walk-off championship game.
Yeah, what an epic game.
Bring me, how does that culmination of all that to that moment feel to you? Just remembering that, which was not that long ago. This is less than a year ago.
Right. Yeah, so I often look at that video that you took, and it's in our text message.
Oh, yeah, I sent you the video of the actual walk-off.
Yeah, it gives me chills to this day.
Is that the only video you have of that?
I think there's a couple more out there, but I primarily just look at that one.
I went nuts, by the way.
Yeah.
Went freaking nuts.
That was probably one of the best days of my life. I really bonded with a lot of the freshmen. I still text half of them to this day.
Yeah.
We had a really, really good group of guys, and to see that success come out like that, it was awesome. Just running onto that Senators field and jumping for joy and dogpiling on the first base line.
It was awesome. Right there at the first base. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that was, it was awesome.
Yeah. It's something that you just hope comes true as a child, especially loving sports. But when it comes true for somebody like yourself, understanding what you've been through, I don't think it can get much more beautiful than that. And even when I met you the first time, I still have excuses in this world. But I can tell you for a long time, I'm like, dude, that is not an excuse, John. I'd have to talk to myself. I said, Nick showed up. I said, after a full day of chemo, and sat there and didn't want to be there and showed up. You were an inspiration for me for so many years just to be a better person. No excuse. No excuse. Look what this kid can do. And it's amazing how inspirational you were to so many people that you have no idea during that process. So I kind of want to move forward a little bit because we go through, we're going to talk a little bit more about mental health and all that now. So I'm watching you on the outside through Facebook, texting here and there. You get a new car. You graduated high school or college, played baseball. Life is good. buys a brand new car, and there's a post on Facebook that you put on. What month was this? Was this
December.
December?
Yeah.
Basically stating like, hey, first off, he bought a Camaro. So my first thought is, well, he's going to hurt himself.
Yeah.
And he puts a post, Nick, you put a post on Facebook just basically thanking everybody for their support. Sorry about what had happened, yada, yada, yada. My first thought is, that kid wrecked that damn car. So I text you. Can I read this?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I texted him. This was December 17th after he wrote the message, after you wrote that post. And I said, what happened? And first off, you don't have to apologize to me. Like, I want you to understand when things like this happen. You said, hey, John, I'm sorry you're going to be so disappointed in me. I overdosed as a suicide attempt last week. We haven't really talked about that. So as an outsider, what I see is Nick Fulton graduates college, has a full-time job, has a great car. What we don't see as outsiders, because a lot of us struggle to talk about this, and if we would just ask for help, a lot of times these things can be avoided. But why don't you take me through what was going on, and how does somebody that survives cancer, has their dreams come true, still get to that point? Because that right there, that lineage and understanding for somebody else might save them. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go way back, almost to my freshman year of high school. So you like I was saying earlier, you kind of become this status.
Oh, the famous kid
around the neighborhood.
Everybody knew who you were.
Yep. And all of a sudden, that stops. Nobody really texts, nobody calls, nobody reaches out. You're kind of just, they don't tell you about that in cancer treatment. They don't tell you the after effects of it. So going through the whole way through cancer treatment, obviously I became close with people, and they passed away, unfortunately. I had one in my neighborhood, William Swigger.
Oh, I know him.
Yeah.
His mom was in real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah. So that was, of course I got out of treatment, and then he passes away, and I'm like, why?
Why am not you?
Right. Yeah. So I started having a lot of like guilt. They call it survivor's guilt, which I was diagnosed with. Fast forward a few years, my mom's dad passed away from cancer as well. So I see that. Fast forward to my junior year of high school. I'm dealing with all this stuff, this weight on my shoulders. It's like, why am I here? And all these good people. I didn't feel like I was a good person. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I try and learn from every single one of them. I didn't feel good enough. And go to my junior year, my best friend passes away in a tragic car accident.
I remember that as well.
Yeah. One of the worst days of my life. I think it was worse than me being diagnosed with cancer. I can still remember the phone call with his mom calling us at 6 a.m.
What was his first name?
Chandler.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Chandler Bing.
Yep.
So, losing him my junior year, that completely unraveled everything in my life. I had no direction. Him and I, as cliche as it sounds, we planned everything for each other. We were going to be each other's best mans at the weddings, and all this stuff that we talked about. And now it's like, what do I do? So everything came to a halt that way. I found another group of friends. Thankfully, it took me under their wing in high school and got me through pretty much college. And then my mom's mom passes away from the exact same diagnosis that I had. So she watched me go through that whole treatment as well. And that guilt alone put me in a very, very dark place. She passed away in the exact same room that I was diagnosed in.
At Hershey. Wow. What year was this?
See, now you're testing.
Like 2020-ish?
2018, 19, something like that. I don't remember the exact date. I'm horrible with dates. So that was like, what is what
you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be better with that. So it's like, what the hell? What's going on? We obviously get through that. It's a tough time at the house, and my mom lost both of her parents. So sophomore, junior year of college rolls around. My dad's dad passes away from cancer as well. So it's like,
Just one after another.
But it was boom, 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 boom. It's like, really, what? I questioned God at the time. I was like, what did I do to deserve this? I went through enough hell. What is wrong with me? Why am I this cancer? I literally feel like a cancer in my life that anybody I get close with, they're gone. So I lived with that for a long time and didn't talk about it for, it was till earlier this year. So yeah, now speeding up, I go through a real bad heartbreak.
The girlfriend?
Yeah.
The one that I met at your graduation? Or a different one? I mean, he's handsome, so who knows, right?
Yeah. Not, I don't know if you met her before.
Okay. I met the blonde girl.
Yeah, that's her.
Okay, yeah.
And I went through a real bad time with that.
Yeah.
So going through all this stuff, not talking about it for years, really, really, really put a weight on my shoulders. And I thought I could get through it myself. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to show emotion to anybody. I kind of just hit it deep inside. And it hits a point where it's too much.
Yeah.
So, I had a real bad episode, in December, a real bad night, and I tried to take my own life selfishly.
What happened? Can we talk about that night?
Yeah. So, I got in an argument. I got caught up in some things that I should have never put myself in the situation of. I kind of just want to leave it at that.
That's fine. Of course.
And I backstabbed some people, and they backstabbed me in return. Way worse. So I felt like, you know what? I'm done. I'm so tired of feeling like this. I'm so tired of, wanting life every day that is not what I expect it to be. So, I tried. I thankfully was very unsuccessful. Then the repercussions came with that. I got people in my community trying to make fun of me for, trying to take my own life, said I should have tried harder or I should have done this or that. And then that started weighing on me again. I'm like, no matter what I do, I'm wrong. I say that all the time. I try not to say it now, but so then I stayed in the mental hospital for 3 or 4 days.
At Holy Spirit?
No, I was at PPI in Harrisburg.
Okay. I did not know that part.
Yeah. So I was.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. They said that in there that, a lot of people sometimes just need a break. And it's a great place to it's not your dream vacation.
72 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I
this isn't the Hilton.
No, that's for sure. But they definitely took care of me in there. And there I obviously didn't have communication with people, so I really got to sit back and take a look at everything and think of how grateful I actually am for everything I've gone through.
I mean, can you tell people how important it is just to think of like having a slight even if it's a slight attitude of gratitude?
Yeah. So the way I look at it now is like, just the littlest things in life you should be grateful for. You wake up, you should be grateful for it. And I'm definitely seeing that now. So I go to a therapist pretty often now.
Which is great.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back on the right track and trying to get mentally there again. So.
Yeah, and for me, like when I notice I'm slipping, I'll go back to therapy. I'm a member of a 12-step group that I attend, and I'm going back more regularly. I'm 16 years sober, but I can tell you the more I attend and the more I sit through other people's experience, strength, and hope and listen to stories, the better I feel. The more I talk about my issues, the better I feel. Yeah. The more I communicate with my wife, the better we feel. Mm-hmm. The more I hold things in, the worse I feel. Suicidal thoughts have been something that have plagued me probably since, I'm going to guess, age 11, still to this day.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to die, where I just don't want to be alive anymore. I say I never attempted it, but I sure as heck put enough drugs in my body to kill myself 1,000 times. I survived, and I think there's purpose behind that. And I think I have a responsibility to share that in order to help others, which is the reason you chose to sit here today. Can you talk us a little bit about maybe some possible, some warning signs that others around you may have missed? Do you have anything that you know of that looking back that maybe could have helped?
Um, I know I was using alcohol pretty heavily, which
Okay.
which my parents were like, I think you need to cut back on that. I would ignore them. I would get drunk almost every night
At home,
at home. Yeah.
just in your bedroom.
Yep, just by myself, listening to music. There's countless times my friends would come and pick me up off the ground, or if I was in the garage by myself, they'd take me to bed, or Um, and shout out my two best friends, Adam and Dylan, who their nicknames are Troll and Pig.
TP.
Yep, they were actually at that senior night or the
At that baseball game. How was that? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
Oh, I think they came down whenever. I think I remember seeing.
yeah, they're loud.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But they through this breakup, I was really struggling with alcohol. I did not want to do anything else but drink. And they really stuck by my side. And even after this, whatever this happened, they're really the only people that kind of stuck, there by my side, and obviously yourself and a couple others, and I have my community that's for me.
I can actually tell you, I think it's brought us closer together.
Absolutely.
When you told me that, I feel like there's part of me that feels like I wish I would have been there more for you. I didn't know, but we all get busy, and then even like you said, you were famous. I can tell you there is a period where we didn't talk for a long time, but here and there, every once in a blue moon. Your dad's terrible at texting back. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, Dad, you're terrible
At texting, just texting.
Yeah, just
But I can tell you, I showed warning signs all around. Drug abuse, alcohol abuse, theft, but I don't know. I know a lot of people cared, but I don't remember ever seeing it because I was so miserable as a person. And and I've spoken about this a lot on here, even last year, I had the seizure where literally my whole life just gets swept out from underneath me again. Everything's great. Life is perfect, blah, blah, blah. Then there goes the rug.
Yep.
It's like, really? Again?
Yeah.
But then you have to pick yourself back up.
Yep.
And ask for help. There's nothing wrong with waving the white flag and saying, listen, I surrender. I need help. I can't do this on my own.
Absolutely.
So how's counseling been going for you with that? Just being able to share your thoughts and feelings.
My counselor is amazing. He's like one of my friends to me. So
yeah,
it's great. It's great to kind of just get everything off my chest and trust him with everything that I say. And he's not just going to lead me in the wrong direction. Kind of same thing for my dad. My dad's really been there for me a lot. Not that my mom hasn't, but my dad's kind of stepped into that role of what I was missing, I think, of like a best friend type feeling.
Yeah.
A long time. I could trust him with anything. He's not going to lead me in the wrong direction.
Big John, he's the man.
Yeah, Big John.
Real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to Deer Valley Land Transfer. When buying your home in the state of Pennsylvania or anywhere in the country, it's important to have title insurance to make sure there are no liens against the property or anything that may not be known, whether it's about the deed, size of the property, anything that you can find out that could be negative or harmful for you in the future. They protect you. This is an insurance that is mandated if you're getting a mortgage, and if you're paying cash, you should still do it anyway. Deer Valley Land Transfer. Well, and that's the thing, people don't quite get. It's as you get older, your sphere of friends is going to get smaller, but it's going to get much better.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that over years. I still have tons of friends from my childhood, so on and so forth, that I would still consider great friends. But my close-knit group, it's smaller. But these are people that I talk to every day on the phone. I talk to them all the time.
Yep.
And they're always there to help and support. And we care about each other. We care about how we're feeling. We care about what's going on in our lives. If we're taking care of ourselves, we all care about each other. And they're there if I'm struggling. We have, my boys, some of my friends, we tell each other everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's everything. Sorry, Taylor, not quite everything, but pretty much everything. So
I think that's a guy thing. I really do.
it is, yes. But it's it's funny because I say I love you to over half my guy friends on the phone.
Yep.
It's hilarious. So one of the things that I can tell you that you're doing right now, so I got sober 2008, 6.5 months into sobriety. I share my story at a 12-step meeting. I go to this 12-step meeting. They're like, hey, we need a speaker. I speak in front of all these people. I was like, oh my gosh. I felt so good. I was on cloud nine, just on top of the world because I got to share my story and how much better it made me feel. That's why we're sitting here today. That's why we have this show, is because I want to be able to share my stuff. Not only does it help me feel better, but it's going to help others. But I will tell you, like, what part of this, like, healing after the experience for me has been able to share my stuff. So, like, just since you sitting here today, I think this is going to help you heal more.
Yeah, I think so too. And I hope it, what I really want to get out of it is helping somebody else.
One person.
One person.
I mean, we want to help thousands, but if one person hears this and says, that's what I needed to hear today, I can give you an example. So today I went to an eye doctor appointment, which is full price for me, even though I have one eye, which is still BS. I'll say that right now. But I went to an eye doctor appointment today, walked in, girl behind the counter. She looked sad, red eyes. First thought was, I wonder if she's hungover. We go into the vision testing area, and I was like, how's your day? And she said to me, she's like, having a really rough morning, a lot of personal stuff. And her and I had this amazing conversation about not quitting 5 minutes before the miracle happens, about how much God loves her, about how much I love her. Don't even know this girl. The tears that are coming out of this girl's eyes, I've met her one time. It was this morning. Yeah. Like, that's it. Like, we're all put in people's place in people's lives at certain times for certain reasons. And you to sit here and have the ability to share what you're going through is amazing. So how, like, through this experience of the last couple months, how do you feel your growth has gone since December?
I think a lot in the positive. I try and be grateful for everything now and just, be thankful for the little things in life, even if it's just going out and getting a drink with friends or something small. Even just this last weekend, me and my buddies just hung out at the house, and then we went to a car show on Sunday.
Oh, where was the car show?
Maple Grove.
Oh, yeah.
Speedway.
Yeah.
So it was a good time, and we just had guy time, and it was just good to feel welcomed and wanted.
So how do you feel like you can prepare yourself for the future? And what can you say to somebody else? Like, hey, you're struggling. What's a great idea for you? Not holding it all in and not talking about, like, what's a piece of advice you think you can give somebody else?
You're definitely not holding it in. Definitely don't do that. But finding the people that you can really trust and that are who are actually there for you at the end of the day. And trusting in them and leaning on them a little bit. If you have to lean on them for a little bit or a little bit longer than what you want to, it's okay. And always look forward. Don't look back.
Yeah, that's why they say what's at the rearview mirror is smaller than the windshield.
Yep.
Because you're supposed to be looking forward. That's one of the things I try to do. Like, people, when I do like speaking engagements, at like schools, kids will say, do you regret your childhood? No. Like, I get to sit here with Nick Fulton today and talk about a story that's going to help somebody else. Like, if that's not a path forward for me to be in a good place in my life, I don't know what is. And if I can't appreciate this moment in time with you right now, shame on me. Like, I wish I could go back to, because at 11, you got diagnosed with leukemia. At 11, I got drunk for the first time. What would I say to myself at 11? If I could look back, I would say, hey, I know you don't feel safe and your life's tough, but you're still cared for and loved, because I didn't know that. If I could go back to myself at 15, I'd say, John, stop. You're going to hurt somebody. Not only yourself, but you're going to hurt others. If I go back to myself the night of my car accident, I wish I wouldn't have had it, but guess what? It happened, and I'm going to use that today to help others. So if you could go back to yourself at 11, 17, what would you say?
I'll even take it back just as recent. 22, I would, we'll go back to the beginning of last year. Just taking a second to breathe and really kind of thinking through things and not reacting on emotions is one of my biggest things. And just being confident in yourself. I lost a lot of confidence throughout the years. That's a huge thing. You got to be confident in yourself to make changes.
Yeah, you do. Is there any other piece of advice you'd like to give our audience?
Just keep trucking along,
Yeah.
Try and embrace the suck as much as you can. It might, I always think of the bad times as it's a blip in the moment.
It is.
A blip in the timeline.
Yeah.
You got so much more to look forward to.
There really is. There's a lot of positive out there. And I can tell you, whenever I got sober, my first couple years, first year was great. Second year was a freaking mess. I wanted to kill myself. I was miserable. Thought about suicide. I slept an hour a night for a year, literally for a year. And that was my norm because I couldn't sleep. But I remember walking into this place, this room where all these people were like this. And I was like, this piece of shit, I don't normally swear in her, but that's what I thought I was.
Exactly. Yeah.
You ever feel that way?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, like this. Why would you want to hug me or care about me? I'm worthless. We're not. We have value. We all do. And once we can find it within, we can share with others. And that's why I think we're all here.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, dude.
Thanks for
I
having me.
appreciate you.
Thank
Love
you.
you, buddy.
Love you too.
Thank you.